Welcome to Around the Kinky Campfire. Grab a seat, pour a drink, and let's turn up the heat. This is the podcast where we explore the wild, wonderful, and sometimes wicked world of kink, BDSM, and alternative lifestyles. Whether you're a seasoned player, a curious newbie, or just here for the stories, we've got something for you. Join us on Thursdays on your favorite podcast platform as we share experiences, dive into deep discussions, and may even spark a little fire of your own. No shame, no judgment, just real talk around the kinky campfire. Let's get lit. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Around the Kinky Campfire. As you can see, I've got the green screen cave back behind me once again. We're back on the desk area instead of our fancy background because I have a video review for you today. Podcast review, specifically. Podcast video review. That is it. We are there Around the Kinky Campfire podcast where we bring you all kinds of alternative relationship stuffs, the BDSMs, the non-monogamy, the queer, and sometimes the geeky. So what we have for you today is a very special podcast. You've heard the name before. And once again, you'll hear it here. The Chris Williams Modern Wisdom podcast. I want to do a little review. He had a doctor on there, Dr. Debra Soh. And I'll put the link in the description like I should. Once again, and I've reminded myself I need to do that again for some other videos, but you ain't got to worry about that. What we got here today is a review because they're talking about people, sex and divorce and how it affects relationships. Well, of course, divorce affects relationships, but why does like sexlessness affect relationships, and then what divorce can do for like all kinds of parts of marriages and stuff like that. Even though we only do marriages here, or we don't believe on it, at least Julius here, your host, me, H.H. Julius Marquise. But I like to talk about all the relationship stuff, especially since she's a researcher of the sexual stuff going on. So, of course, we had to talk about it here. Okay, before we get into that, we today are going to have a non-sponsored drink like usual, the ASMR 5 seconds. We'll see how it goes, which I will kind of lean over here and kind of do. Let that begin in 3, 2, 1. Oh boy, yeah, it's not super cold, but it is. Almost feels carbonated. Okay, is Victory Brewing Company. Yep, drink. Sour drink. We'll just say that right there for all the algorithms listening to this. Okay, let's get into this. I'm only going to do a few minutes of this whole entire thing. Once again, I will remind myself, future Julius, to put the link in the description if you want to listen to the whole entire thing. We're about halfway through in the whole entire podcast from where we're listening from. So let's get into it here. Let's see. So, right before we do, I want to say I have an issue. This lady is very nice and she is very knowledgeable. And if you have listened, if anything I've said before made you want to listen to the Modern Wisdom podcast, you'll see Chris has a particular banter and comedy about him, which is really great. She gets most of it, but then it's like certain current event stuff that she does not know about, which is kind of crazy to me, being a sex, but whatever. She's stuck researching in a lab, making that up. Stuck researching in a lab so she can't get out and partake in all the current events that are going on. So, yeah, whatever. I'm here to fill those gaps in for you. And especially the topics that they bring up that we talk about here, a.k.a. smut and kinks. I say, yeah, we'll talk about that. And you'll see in the video. And then I'll give my final analysis at the end of the video, what I really think and all that. So let's just jump into it here.
What do you think about the relationship between porn use and the type of sex that people are having?
In terms of it influencing the type of sex? So in terms of, say, very extreme thing, previously, okay, I would start with before the internet. So because there's a concern about, does porn make men more violent? Does porn make men entitled with sex? Previously.
Yeah, before she even gets into it, it's like, does porn actually do that? So, yeah, same thing with comic book and video games for my non-geek people. There was a thing when comic books got popular that, of course, Christians wanted to ban comic books because it's like, oh, it makes young kids violent. The fuck? It's a comic book. Okay. And then, of course, it's like demon worship and all this stuff. Same thing they do with music back in like the 60s or 70s. And then, of course, books. They also banned and burned books, too. It's like, we're just villainizing new technology. I don't even know what to call books. Technology. We'll say it's all technology. And now we got porn on the internet. It's like, all right, it's not quite a, Shakespeare book, but yeah, what are we doing here? The media does not make the person violent. You know what? I don't spank partners because I'm a violent person. I do it because they enjoy it. It's consensual. What are we doing here? Why are we still like, it's not Mortal Kombat making people violent. The people are already violent. They're just using it as an excuse. So stupid. Anyways, the actual research.
If a man grew up and had his first sexual experience prior to online porn, I would say porn is not the thing that made him, if he is, say, violent or likes to degrade his partners or treat them poorly.
Thank you.
I wouldn't say that's porn. I would say that's due to the way he was raised. He's probably antisocial, probably has some dark triad personality going on there, probably doesn't think very highly of women, has a lot of hostility toward women. But those views would have been formed prior to porn. So I don't think porn is the problem. I think he probably was interested in violent porn and violent sex because of other factors in terms of how he was raised, potentially. Nowadays, with the fact that kids are being exposed to this so young, I'm really concerned about how this is affecting their sexuality, because we do see studies coming out showing that kids who are having problematic sexual behaviors, it's due to being sexualized by porn, like early exposure, this trend of sexual choking that I write about in Sextinction, young women, Gen Z women in particular, it's almost ubiquitous.
And to the point of this choking, y'all ignorant little shits, stop choking people non-consensually. Go get educated first before you start choking people. It's not about cutting off air circulation. It's about having control. Trust me. I know the difference. I've done it before consensually, and there are ways to let the person that is doing the choking know that they're putting too much pressure on there. Have a discussion. Now, y'all know Julius does not participate in the hookup culture. Not going to judge people about the hookup culture, but y'all need to have a conversation. This shit is ridiculous, okay? We need just trying to go out here and just start randomly choking people. It's not how you do things. Ridiculous. Okay, anyways, let's just stop all the ER visits. Like, why are you going to ruin a situation that is all good and then you have to like take a trip to the ER because you didn't do your doggone research ahead of time?
I think that is be due to them being exposed to this at such a young age and believing that this is what they need to do in order to attract men or to be enticing in the bedroom. And I would be very clear that you could die from doing this, so it's not safe. There's no safe way to do it.
This was Louise Perry's thing that she was helping to prosecute guys that had killed their partners,
right,
and then used whatever it is, the rough sex excuse thing, which, that's fucking horrific. There is a bit of research that I wanted to talk to you about, which I've never spoken about on the show before. You're probably familiar with. A new study interviewed 302 adults. Of those, more women enjoyed aggression in porn, were aroused by portrayals of female pain, and reported wanting to see more aggression. And this is a bar chart which shows women saying double the number of women saying aggression is arousing.
This chart is wild. I wish I could have, I wonder if I could get a link to this at some point. I'm going to make a note to zoom in here. Hopefully I do remember. Basically what it's saying on the left side of the chart, for most of this chart, out of the 6 things, women rank higher than men. This is wild. This is why I wanted to do this video after I started listening to this podcast. Okay, first of all, aggression is arousing. Almost double women. Hard aggression is arousing. Almost double women. Would like more aggression in mainstream porn. Whoa. Okay, I didn't see that before because now I'm zooming in. Would like more aggression in mainstream pornography. Oh, okay. All right. Actively seeking aggression is about the same. Aroused by women showing pleasure in response to aggression. Yep. Okay, about the same. Guys, a little bit more. Aroused by women showing pain in response to aggression. Women. Okay. All right. This is what I wanted to see, because right here, Julius has done his own research on this. Aggression is arousing. I will say, in my experience, consensually, the partners that I've had, I mean, it's kind of like a filtering system because of where I meet my partners on the Kinky Facebook. So it's kind of skewed that way. I will say I'm having more interesting connections outside of the Kinky Facebook and still finding people that are interested in this kind of thing. So that part is interesting to me. The fact that it is, of course, is very heteronormative, men versus women. I would like to assume that most of these people that took this survey did not have any experience prior to any kind of kink world. The fact that most of these are doubled is kind of interesting. Okay, aggression is arousing. So once again, this proves my point that you do not have to actually be physically harmful, that just the aggressiveness or actually showing that you're aggressive is something that is arousing to people. Taking control. You don't want to actually do the choking. You just want to take control. Again, hard aggression is arousing. I'm wondering if these people know that porn is like acting. So you just, I'm assuming most people know that porn is acting. So you just want to act this way. You don't want to actually do it. I think that's where the disconnect is because people think you actually have to do these things. No, just put on an act. Just put on an act. Don't actually do it. I realize the same three letters are on both of those words, but different kind of meanings. Actually versus acting. All right? So, hard aggression is arousing. So we see that more women find this arousing. Okay. So I wonder if they're sticking, just relating to porn in general. Would like more aggression in mainstream porn. I would like more aggression in mainstream porn. God damn it. There's no biting of asses. Why is nobody biting at booty? It's ridiculous.
Triple the number of men, triple number of women to men. Hard aggression is arousing.
Oh, and I almost forgot. Actively seek aggression. So I assume that's in real life. More women than men actively seek aggression. I will note that from my research, personal research, that there are a shocking number of women that would like their partners to be more aggressive in bed, which is fascinating to me.
Maybe 4 times the number of women to men would like more aggression in mainstream pornography. Maybe 30% more actively seek aggression. The only thing that men are stronger on is aroused by women showing pleasure in response to aggression.
So that last point, aroused by women showing pleasure in aggression, that would be very hard to know if you had no experience with it. I will say that. There have been many times when I'm doing something that is on the surface non-sexual, for the most part, it's still a kink, and sometimes a fetish, but not inherently sexual, like specifically touching the sexual bits of the body, and person being aroused. I didn't know until, let's just call it a dipstick check. When you check the oil, it is very well lubricated. I will say that. And it was very shocking to me how lubricated that oil was. So that was very interesting to me. And I will say, unless you do it a few times, you can't really tell if the person is aroused until it's apparent. There's a leak in the system. But being like a newer person in the sexual activities, not knowing that ahead of time is very interesting. So the fact that men are more aroused by showing pleasure to the aggression, unless you like, I don't know, a porn researcher, like not a porn researcher, but I have researched porn. You can kind of tell when people are into it and when they're acting. It's like, oh no, I fell down and I can't get up. Oh, my arms just turned to noodles randomly now and I'm tripping on the ground and I can't get up. And it's like, let me hold my butt cheek open for you so you can get right up in there. It's like those little things, unless you actually look at porn, you don't realize this is happening. And also in real life, you don't realize this is happening. It's like, is this person really into it? But if you like let them go, I can get more specific. I probably teach a class on this. But if you let them go and they don't really run, they just kind of stay there. It's like, okay, I think they probably want this. So just have a conversation, people. Have a conversation until you get the experience and you get up there. But still have a conversation.
Aggression, and that's maybe 5%. aroused by women showing pain in response to aggression, nearly double women to men.
Okay.
This seems to be this is a small sample size, 302 people, but this is, you can dig deeper and find out kind of the same pattern. And it's something that I remember I once read a feminist who wrote about this, and she said something along the lines of, it's an uncomfortable fact for most modern feminists that women seem to prefer aggressive porn than men do. And misogynists use this as an excuse that, like, she wanted it made type thing. That, to me...
Which is absolutely fucking horrible, because you can still have a conversation. Don't make the assumption. I'm just assuming that they assumed that this was something she wanted, even though you didn't have a conversation. You're just going to run in and do that kind of stuff. Those are assholes. Assholes. Have a conversation.
Does suggest that the picture is a little bit more complex than just guys have learned it in porn.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it to women, and women feel the need to perform up to it. That, no one's pushing women in that way. It's not the only study of that kind. And
no, I agree. I'm not one of those people that think that this is entirely like men pushing it on women and women have no choice but to do it. I do think there are some women out there that's sexual masochism. Mm-hmm. So it's like sexual arousal at the idea of being hurt, humiliated, degraded by your partner. Mm. So that's the only paraphilia that you actually find in women typically. So usually women...
that's so interesting. The only paraphilia that's typical in women, paraphilia being kind of odd sexual proclivities, is...
masochism. If you do...
Self-masochism.
Masochism.
They're gonna try to explain what the masochism is. I'm gonna correct them.
Is when it's happening to you. Sadism is when you're doing it to someone else.
Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Cool. How much sadism is there in women?
So not quite correct, doctor. So masochism is receiving pain, and sadism is giving pain. But you can be a self-masochist as well if you give yourself pain. So it's not really just giving and receiving. It's the pain part of it. If you like pain or you like giving pain, but you can't be a self-masochist. There are people that do stuff to themselves. I've seen pictures. And that's a thing as well. So technically, just want to correct her there a little bit.
So when you do see other paraphilias like sadism, it usually is correlated with personality disorders.
Right, the cluster B, dark triad.
Cluster B, yeah.
Okay, anyway, so the masochism for women.
Yeah.
Not true in my case. I'll tell you that. Well, probably. I don't know. Can't really say if you have dark. You have to have other people say you don't have it. You can't really classify yourself. I will say, as a sadist, I would do it with consensual people, and not so much that I am a jerk, but I do enjoy begging. But having somebody beg you to masochize them is very comforting. I will say not morally wise, but like brain health wise, it's like, oh, they wanted this. Okay, so this is definitely something they want. They're literally begging on their hands and knees for it. So I'll say just for myself, not just saying for all masochists and kinky people, that it does add to the enjoyment if the person is asking it enthusiastically consenting for it.
Yeah, so evolutionarily, it could be because women's bodies, have you heard of the study where women basically are aroused to any type of porn? So it's whether it's...
Yes, they're more sexually fluid. Girl on girl, guy on guy, girl on guy. Well, this is why...
All right, Campsters, before we get back to tonight's stories that probably shouldn't be played out loud at work, let's take a second to talk about today's sponsor, which could be you. Look, if you're listening to Around the Kinky Campfire, you're clearly not here for vanilla. You're here for the weird conversations, the spicy confessions, and the kind of stories that make you double-check who's sitting next to you. And that's exactly why today's sponsor fits right in. Whether you're setting the mood, exploring something new, or just trying to turn an ordinary night into something a little more memorable, today's sponsor, which could be you, is here to help make it happen. No judgment, no awkward vibes, just good times and maybe a few decisions you'll be laughing about later. Ha ha! Because let's be honest, sometimes you don't want predictable. Sometimes you want a little tension, a little excitement, maybe even something that makes you say, well, that escalated quickly. And hey, we're not here to judge. No, no, no. Around this campfire, we support curiosity, good stories, and anything that makes life a little more interesting. So go check out today's sponsor, WCBY. Show them some love and help this campfire keep burning, because the more support we get, the more spicy conversations we can bring to you. All right, now where were we? Oh yeah, things were just heating up.
Just to be clear, animals having sex, not people having sex with animals. I don't agree with bestiality.
What's that fucking hockey players, the two hockey players boning? What's that thing? It's that series.
This is the part that drives me crazy. She's like, I don't know what this is. It's very pop culture, heated rivalry. Ah! Of course I know it because I'm not there, but whatever.
Not hot ones. That's the wing thing. What the fuck is it?
Two hockey players?
Two hockey players. It's taken the world by storm. Heated rivalry. Fucking hot ones.
I didn't know.
Heated rivalry. I knew I got there.
And he doesn't explain what it is. It's like, what?
Canadian. You're supposed to know. Sorry, it was a hard week for you.
I don't actually watch porn, so that might be why I've never heard of it.
Heated Rivalry was a book. It was a book about these two hockey players on opposing teams, and then they fuck each other.
Why are you reading this?
I'm not reading it, right? This is a big TV show. I've never seen anything like this. I'm the straightest man in the room.
He doesn't say, stupid joke. He doesn't say that it's a TV show, not a porn. Not a porn. Explain it.
This
Not hard
this has broken the internet, and you should absolutely have a look at this.
I'll do some Googling.
You'd love to look at this.
Studio. Okay.
So it is basically revealing just how flexible women's sexualities are.
Yeah.
That these two guys, there was a book super popular, then pivoted over into this TV series, and the TV series is fucking ripped. It's like a Brokeback Mountain on ice, right?
But was it actually pornographic, or was it just like hinted?
Asking the wrong guy. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, Chris. Why even bring it up if you don't know the answer? They don't actually show anything. Good Lord. Okay, so he fucking brings it up. I haven't actually seen Heated Rivalry either, but I've heard people talk about it. Like, they don't show all the bits in there. They just show the thrusting motions and then the grabbing and the heavy breathing and everything like that. But it's not a porn.
Okay.
I didn't get... I mean, I have to assume that there was either implied or like pretty close to like raunchy shit happening on the screen.
Okay.
Anyway, that you're quite right. Why is it that you think that women's sexuality is more fluid than men's?
Well, the unfortunate reason is rape. So in the past, right, evolutionarily speaking, it protects the woman's body if she can become aroused regardless of what is happening.
Which is why...
That was a weird segue. What does it have to do? Fluidity has to do with... Okay. That's a weird segue. Okay, so that has to do with like consent, which is not really consent in that case. What? Fluid? Okay. I would argue, not a doctor, just has done research. I don't even call myself a researcher, but it's more socially accepted if a woman is more fluid with her stuff. Like straight women can just cuddle in bed and be totally fine, and it's just like, oh, that's just what women do. But if like a guy does it, it's looked down upon. And I, for one, not just because I'm a gender fluid individual, it is more so that it's just doesn't have to be classified as something if people, especially that present male, are allowed to be more affectionate with each other, and it doesn't have to be labeled a specific kind of thing. So it's kind of stupid that society's that way. It's really only mostly only American society. There are other cultures around the world where guys can hold hands, and it's not considered to be looked down upon. So it's American society we're talking about. Maybe even British society, since that's where Chris is from. Yeah, it's kind of stupid. So I don't understand why she threw the rape thing in there. That was a weird turn.
Sometimes during sexual assault, women can still reach orgasm.
Yeah.
And then they feel loads of shame afterward because it's fucking horrific. They think, did I want that? Did I want this thing? How fucking awful am I? I'm traumatized, and now my body did a thing to me that I'm traumatized about as well. It's so brutal.
Speaking to those findings, though, I would be curious to know how they sampled. Like, do you remember like how they sampled for those women?
Preferences related to aggression, pleasure, and pain in pornography among male and female interviewees. I've got I can send you the journal article. But certainly, even if we don't look at aggression as arousing, hard aggression as arousing, like, would like more aggression in mainstream pornography, actively seek aggression, aroused by women showing pain in response to aggression. Just look at the romantasy genre.
Mm-hmm. Well, evolutionarily speaking, like in terms of masochism, it would benefit women to show a
capacity to endure pain.
Yeah, or not, or like it's not, I want to say subjugation, but it evokes like caretaking behaviors from men, right? If they see that a woman is
great,
like in need of help or support.
Yeah, I suppose so, to a degree, but there's also a kind of resilience in masochism, right? That I can withstand it. There's almost anti-fragility, not a fragility.
That goes back to the trauma that I talk about in Sex Extinction, and it's in the porn chapter about how many individuals who are into BDSM and kink actually do have a history, especially of physical abuse in childhood.
Oh, I imagine that made you very popular.
Unfortunately, that is something I have to agree with her about. Yeah, just from personally living the lifestyle for over a decade now, it seems like most people have had some kind of bullshit happen to them when they were a child. Me, not so much. I still have not figured out where my kink factor comes in. So I would lean more towards it's a nature thing, something you're born with, and yeah. That could be why.
It's still happening now. People
because you were a sex positive.
Oh yeah,
research writer person.
Yeah,
right?
I was a columnist for a well-known men's magazine with nude women in it, and writing this book, I was so grateful to have the chance to sit down and really question a lot of the beliefs I had. And I went through my own data that I collected when I was still in sex research, and I found the same thing. And I was amazed. I thought,
what do you mean? You went through the data, and what did you find?
I found that interest in BDSM and kink is correlated with severe physical abuse in childhood. And this is even more so the case for men who are into BDSM and kink as compared to men who are community controls, obviously, men who have porn problems who are not into BDSM or kink, and also more so the case than men who are convicted of child sex crimes. So there's something with physical
BDSM
abuse.
and kink is a better predictor of male childhood abuse, trauma?
Female too.
But than pedophilia is.
Victimization. Convicted sex offenses pornography.
Yep. So we don't know how many of those are unreported and stuff like that.
Right, but also there are times when men will abuse children and not necessarily be pedophile. That's like fine, very fine details. But overall, child sex crimes.
What do you think that says about what BDSM and kink is doing for people?
It's really sad. I want to be clear. Like, I'm not saying this to make judgment about people or to try and shame them. I really hope in bringing awareness to this, because BDSM is so commonplace in society, right? It's so normalized almost. It's almost seen like there is a variation, I think, in terms of people who might partake in sexual activity that is like playful or passionate, right? Versus wanting to strangle your partner, wanting to really hurt them, wanting to humiliate them, or if you enjoy those behaviors done to you, especially for women, because physical harm, it wouldn't really make sense for women or men, but why would physical harm be correlated with orgasm? Right? If you can potentially become pregnant from this act, why would it be beneficial to you and your offspring to find physical pain and
what do you think?
Arousing?
Yeah, why?
Why? Because something went wrong with the system.
And it's getting wires crossed.
Yeah. So my hope is that by bringing attention to this, because so many people, I sense, enjoy these things but don't really know why, or they think it's something that it's something they take pride in. And I would just say maybe it's something that you should look a little more deeply into.
Welcome to the Around the Kinky Campfire podcast advice line. Got a burning question about kink, BDSM, relationships, and or navigating the wild world of alternative lifestyles? You've come to the right place. Whether you're looking for guidance, reassurance, or just a nudge in the right direction, we're here to help. Judgment-free and with a dash of kinky wisdom. Send in your questions and let's talk it out by the fire. No topic is too taboo, no curiosity too small. We're all making mistakes, growing and exploring together. Submit your questions anonymously at Around the Kinky Campfire, campfire with a K, at yahoo.com, or slide into our DMs at Twitter, Kinky Campfire, campfire with a K, YouTube, Around the Kinky Campfire, campfire with a K, or Instagram, Campfire Kinksters, campfire with a K. Let's keep the fire going.
They're using their sexual preferences as a way to work through something that maybe should be done with a therapist.
Yeah.
Also, some therapists recommend Kink and BDSM as a therapeutic practice as well, which is something that is growing over more so. This is therapists that are not necessarily in the kink lifestyle to make a note of. So it's fascinating because, it seems more childhood stuff happen to people that are in the kink and BDSM lifestyle. But if you look into therapists, not a therapist, I just know the stuff, is that reframing the narrative is a big thing when it comes to working through your past stuff. That's why like ayahuasca and all the psychedelics are helpful, because it like takes you out of the storyline that you've been ruminating on and traumatized with for many years and lets you reframe that narrative. But if you can go into a BDSM consensually, have a negotiation, have safe words, and go into something where you're literally bound and stuff is happening to you, but you can control the situation with a safe word or a safe gesture, whatever you negotiate with your partner or partners at the time, then you can see that you have control, and then you can stop the whatever you're doing if you want to. You stop your scene, stop the play or whatever it is, and you have that control. So that is why it's therapeutic for people that have been stuff happened to them when they were younger. I will say that, okay?
So I remember I was talking to a researcher, and they were telling me about how this, maybe not uncontacted tribe, but this relatively uncontacted tribe, one of the rites of passage that they had for women was that men would get reeds, thick reeds and sticks, whippy sticks, and they would stand there and they would whip the women across their backs. Like every woman in the tribe had huge scars everywhere across their backs, and the goal of the women was to be able to stand there and not flinch, not make noise, not cry, not whimper, not yell, not do anything. And this was supposed to be a presentation of their capacity to endure what would become giving birth, child rearing. And that, when you were talking about it might engender sympathy from men, which I can completely see, like just the power dynamic, the subjugation, all of that does make sense. Allow me to come and hold you. But if you're able to withstand pain, there's also a kind of resilience in that, which I think would almost work against it. So yeah, kind of interesting. I always think about that example when it comes to sort of female behavior in kink. I'm like, is this maybe some kind of demonstration of my capacity, of the woman's capacity to endure hard things physically? Not like lift heavy things, right? That's the guy picking you up and putting you against the wall. That's the ability for him to physically dominate you. But the woman's ability to endure the pain might actually be maybe like a fertility cue of some kind, like my pain tolerance. I don't know.
It could be. I could see if
real nascent idea. It's wet clay, all right?
I could see it if it is something that is like culturally enforced and it's like a rite of passage.
I will say I've had experiences with partners where they take it a badge of honor when they can resist saying a safe word, and it's like, that's not helpful for anybody. Let's not do that. If it's getting to the point, especially in the beginning, or it's like your first few times that you're like playing with somebody for the first time, it's like set the boundary, set the pain tolerance levels accurately. Because if you're like pushing yourself, you're not having fun if you're resisting saying a safe word. It's like, let's not do that. So I found that very interesting when they were talking about this particular point, and then Chris's random thing about the tribe. That it is a thing for women, I will say in my experience, women to take a badge of honor in wanting to not show the pain. There is a particular website where they had an Olympic type thing where it was whoever had the highest pain tolerance ended up like winning, and it's like they had to cut that website. They had to cut that down because there was women in there that are like going too far with it. So it's like, let's just stop anybody from getting like permanently injured, and we're just going to shut this site down. It was not like an external thing. It was an internal thing. And the people were like, all right, they're going too far with this. And it's like, they are just like going to sacrifice parts to win. And it's like, okay, let's just... So it's fascinating that they're talking about this here because it's like a pride for being able to take the pain. I think it has to do with childbirth, probably. Yeah, in my opinion, as somebody that can't have children.
But if you as a woman are intentionally putting yourself in those situations when you don't need to, there are plenty of guys out there who are, I mean, vanilla is seen as a negative thing. I don't think being vanilla is a bad thing. So there are plenty of vanilla guys out there who are not going to want to strangle you during sex and not going to want to like, you know, degrade you during sex. So if you're intentionally putting yourself through that, even if it is a way to show how strong you are, why would you choose to do that?
When you don't need to.
When you don't need to.
Romantasy.
Also, I will say there's some people that consensually like to do this. So there are places as well, if you like that kind of thing and want to try it out, there are places and people that will be very helpful to help you out in a consensual way, knowledgeable people. There are places for that. I will say that right there.
I was sat on the plane flying to St. Louis a couple of weeks.
Just want to talk about romanticides when he's talking about smut. As you know, here at Around the Kinky Campfire, we are big fans of the smut. I've had my author friends on here, so he's talking about romanticides, and we'll go into this. This is the really triggering part for me because they're talking about smut, but they don't actually know what they're talking about. Foreshadowing.
Let's go. And there was a lovely woman sat next to me, and she had her iPad up, and she was reading Court of Thorns and Roses.
Now, what is that?
That is
more porn.
That is one of the most popular romantasy books at the moment.
Smut. He's talking about smut. And I don't understand how she doesn't know what this is. What research are you doing? You don't know the common shit. Even I don't. Okay.
You familiar with romantasy?
It's basically like erotica.
It is.
Smut.
That's probably that's a word that you would use.
Okay.
I respect the art form and also the fact that the fan base is fucking massive, and I don't want to get lynched by them. No. It is story. It's female literacy porn wrapped in quite a lot of story, but there are sort of peak dirty moments. Anyway, our friend is tapping away, and she didn't have her glasses on. The font size was quite large.
How you are a sex researcher and you don't know what smut is? I'm just saying. Very judgy right now, judgy Julius, but I'm totally fine with that.
And I had a realization that chicks can basically watch porn on a plane.
I guess so.
Chicks can watch porn. There are some guys that read smut as well, just putting it out there. But yes, it's mostly women that partake in the smut stuff. I will say because I volunteer at a very popular smut convention once a year.
They can basically watch their equivalent of porn on a plane, and I'm looking at this. I'm trying not to move my head at all. I'm keeping my head dead straight. I'm going. And I spoke to some friends after it. I've not read the book. I didn't read enough to fully capture what the narrative arc was.
Okay.
But might be A Court of Thorns and Roses or one of the other books like that, the protagonist is a fairy prince or a fairy king who has the ability to transform himself into this like monstrous beast. And I think that in that sort of shows what it is, one of the sort of archetypal.
Okay, I'm gonna cut it there, just because it's listening to it for the third time. It's still so triggering because they don't know what monster fucking is. Yes, the Beauty and the Beast situation. You have the strong beast out there, and it's specifically safe for you. It's not gonna harm you because it particularly likes you, but it will be a beast to everybody else and monster fucking and all this different kind of stuff. Okay, so go check that out. Okay, I just want to go over this real quick because I'm way over time probably. Okay, so it was a good discussion. I'm just generally shocked because the doctor there didn't know about what smut was, and it's like it's $1 billion business and you're talking about sex. I would argue that's probably the number one way that women get their arousal from. What would you call that? get their sexual entertainment from is definitely smut books, reading about it rather than porn. It's definitely been studies on that women read more, and that's all over the world, not just in America too. So that's fascinating that she looked into all the porn stuff but didn't know about smut. It's often overlooked. And here, oh good Lord, here at Around the Kinky Campfire, we are proponents of the smut. Get the smut out there. Everybody should be reading some smut if you can. I'm still trying to work my way through. It is very hard, even if the story is like 5 minutes on Audible. Good Lord, it's just straight to the action. Ooh, it's hard to listen to. But go out there and grab you some smut. So this is Modern Wisdom. I like that he's open-minded. Of course, you've heard me talk about him before. And this lady, I'm very new to Debra Soh. So I will look out for her on other podcasts and everything like that. And hopefully she has gone in and did a little bit more research on smut. That's so crazy. Overall, a great discussion that they have, and hopefully they both learn something. And I hope you all learn something as well. And I answer the questions that you had, or the people that have seen this podcast and had questions and then they didn't really get the answer to, but I hope I gave it to you. Monster fucking is a genre in smut, okay? Basically, the monster is there, tears everybody up, but for you particularly, it's a gentle giant or whatever, gentle orc or werewolf or whatever it is. But everybody else it hates. But for you, it can change because you're that special character. So that's basically why they enjoy the smut porn in that particular genre. All right, well, that's it for now. You didn't hear me talking as much because we were listening to that video snippet together. But if you want to listen more, make sure you check out all the podcast distributors out there, the Spotify's and iTunes and such and such. And we have new episodes, audio on Thursday and video on Friday if the camera doesn't fuck up or fuck me over. But that's all for now for Around the Kinky Campfire. Please rate, subscribe, share all the different ways on the YouTubes and the Instagrams and everything. And send me emails if you have more questions. But that's all for now. Hello. That's a wrap for this episode of the Around the Kinky Campfire podcast. We love having you by the fire, and we love to hear from you. Got a kinky question, a steamy story, or a topic you want us to cover? Slide into our DMs and send us a message at Around the Kinky Campfire, campfire with a K, at yahoo.com. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. Your support helps keep the flames burning and the conversations flowing. Follow us on Twitter, Kinky Campfire, Campfire with a K, YouTube, Around the Kinky Campfire, Campfire with a K, or Instagram, Campfire Kinksters, Campfire with a K. To stay in the loop, join the community, and keep the kink alive between episodes on Thursdays. Until next time, stay safe, stay sexy, and keep that fire burning.